All right, we are ready to rock and rumble this Thursday. Looking forward to connecting the morning check-in. And what an interesting day to say the least. Looks like metals are down, bond yields are up, crypto's down, stock market plunged 1.5 trillion yesterday. And here we have the incoming president, 47, basically saying abolish the debt ceiling because there's no point in it. He's going to ride this thing out. The debt king knows what he's doing, and he's going to oversee the great default by basically inflating his way out of the mess that we're in right now. So it's going to be interesting, man. But nevertheless, got a couple articles I want to share with you guys and just share my 2 cents on the matter. And once again, to try to be of encouragement to everybody, realize that we know where the manipulation lies the most. We know what medium is the most undervalued of all time. And whenever there is some price, that's an opportunity because manipulation is your friend. So we're going to talk about that and a couple other things. But as always, man, welcome. Hope everyone's doing well. Feel free to leave some thoughts, ideas, comments, whatever it is that you want to touch on in the comment section. Definitely love to check in and hear what you guys are keeping your eyes on, and feel free to share whatever comes to mind, man. It's a very interesting and exciting world and time to live in at this current moment. But I want to basically get to you. Yeah, I got 15, 17 tabs open. Not going to get to all of it, but I want to encourage people, if you want to stay plugged in, putting together a lot of the articles and news stories that I may not touch into the RTD news page. So if you guys want to plug in with that, check the description so you'll be able to plug in. But let me just keep things moving right along, man. Hope everyone is doing well. Let's get into it. So for those who might be plugging in, never know. But if you haven't as of yet, feel free to subscribe, hit the check mark, hit the YouTube bell, whatever it is you're watching, wherever you're watching this from, so that you can always be plugged in whenever something is put out. Trying to do more quick takes rather than the live stream, just because it's easier to get my thoughts together in a short, concise manner. So let me know your thoughts on that. But make sure you subscribe, hit the bell. And if you guys want to be a blessing to the channel, help support the channel, monetarily speaking, here's a way to do that. The links in the description at the very bottom. And any help whatsoever goes a long way. So I appreciate your support. So feel free to do that. And also just some resources, man. Got to make sure I continue to remind people of resources. So if you have not, test your dollar IQ. 10 simple questions. As of right now, the score is dropping the more the people take it. So we're about low to 60% out of 10 questions. And so if you guys are interested, just go to rethinkingthedollar.com, the website, scroll down, you'll see it. You can take it there. And then also some resources, educational tools. Here we have the Dollarcation cheat sheet, where it gives you the entire monetary history of our nation and how I think things will end out closer to 2030. So for those who might be new, you want this infographic, go to rethinkingthedollar.com. Links in the description. You can get this as well. So just a little something for those who might be new. You never know. But as always, it's going to be an interesting morning, man. And so I want to jump right into it and just basically share my 2 cents and see where it takes us. So let's get it going. Let me move my screen around here as always. So as always, before I get started, got to just big up my partners who actually help provide strategies, solutions, and everything else for people. So as you can see on the screen here, colonialsmetalsgroup.com/RTD allows people to actually take possession of everything they worked so hard for. Don't lose it all, people, in bonds and stocks, because once again, the counterparty risks are too great, and it's just not a good position to be in solely. So if you're interested, on the screen here, as you can see here, colonialsmetalsgroup.com/RTD, and you go to this page here, links in the description, fill out this quick form here. Then you'll be able to speak to the experts. They'll reach out to you, and you'll download this form here. And if you want, you can call them at 888-521-2448 and actually speak to them about a self-directed IRA, where you can actually take your hard-earned investments, turn it into gold and silver, put it in your possession physically, or put it into the depository where you can get access to it when you need it. And once again, just an alternative way to diversify yourself and protect everything you work so hard for. So check them out if you're interested. Links in the description. And then also want to make sure I continue to remind people of opportunities. And so once again, what I consider to be the most affordable 24 karat gold notes, that is a way to also to diversify for those that are stackers of a variety of a sort. We have gold, silver, platinum, palladium, all those mediums. But if you're interested in doing something outside the box in a way that can offer a way to have a little barterability, where you can actually move these things in case of needing to actually use them in circulation. That is something that's being done out in the Western Hemisphere. Utah, I think Wyoming, they have places where you can actually go to the store and spend these notes. But as you can see over my head here, we have an assortment, the cheapest of cheapest, $2 for a half a note, all the way to a 10 piece, and they go a lot higher. And so they've actually added a couple new ones. So as you can see here, we have all the way up to 100 Florida gold back note, which is right here. And so for this note here is $500. So once again, all the way from $2 to $500, depending on what your budget is. But once again, they're infused with 24 karat gold. Therefore, that is quote unquote money, not going to zero, hands down. Okay, so just an option for those who want to take a part in that there. And then last, for those who want to actually get in the silver game. And once again, I am more than excited that come 2025, I believe silver will be the industry to be in because it will not reach an all-time high and they have to make sure they suppress it. And so that's where I would like to be. But anyway, if you guys are interested and want to join a silver team where you can actually dollar cost average and set up an automatic monthly shipment to your house of whatever portion you want, then this is the way to do it through the Quicksilver program. And if you guys are interested to get started, you can actually get a free 1 gram bar sent directly to you if you just pay shipping and handling, and you get some information on how to do that and how to join the program and everything else. If you're interested, links in the description, or just go to mysilverteam.com, and definitely would love to work with you. And once again, get you right directly in the silver industry. So that's where it's going to be in 2025, in my opinion. That's where I'm going to be. But anyway, okay, so with all I said, let's get into it, man. Let's look at some real quick. I have to look at some price action. We got to look at some price action just because at this current moment, there's just too much stuff happening not to look at the price action. And I want to say, we got a couple things here to look at. Always got to mention this. And so here we had on the screen here, we have gold and silver is doing this 𝗙𝗘𝗟𝗟𝗓 right now. It is down, and it's just literally just as I refresh the screen here, we got a little green on the screen because before that it was all red. But as you can see here, we got gold at $25.93, silver $28.83, platinum $920, and right on down the list of other base metals. And then if I want to zoom in here and give you a different perspective, let me bring on the screen here. Here we have something that looks a little bit different. This is what it looks like as of right here. So as you can see, markets open up this morning, boom, gold come tumbling down. And of course, same thing with silver, down from under 30 right now to 87. So once again, for those who recognize the most important monetary medium on the planet, the cheaper it gets, the more you can accumulate. Yeah, currency insurance is what I consider it. Your policy can never be too big when the currency is dying. And the reason I mentioned currency dying is because as of right now, looks like bond yields. I guess Jerome Powell did the markets dirty yesterday. And as of right now, we are witnessing that 450, that little piece there, man, right above my head here. Over the last 1 month, we've had a incremental surge of bond yields, the 10-year increasing. Therefore, that is a pressure that people are deciding to get out of U.S. liabilities. Therefore, they're dumping. And so we got to wait till a suspicious buyer comes in to ease some of this governmental pressure, because once again, it's hard to cut when your bond yields are going up, because that means that more people require more interest on the debt that must be issued. And it doesn't help when the incoming president talks about abolishing the debt ceiling, basically saying he is the king of debt. He's the king of debt, and he's wanting basically just no holds bar, unlimited spending for his presidency. Why? Because as I always said before, he has been positioned strategically to oversee the great U.S. default through inflating our way out of this mess, therefore destroying the currency. And I love to remind people at what's really at stake here. This is how you should know not to have any hope in one man, nevertheless a party. And so every single political figure has destroyed our currency, our national currency rather. So therefore, it's on you to protect yourself, because they're not going to do it. They're going to protect themselves first and foremost, and they're going to disguise it as protecting you. So once again, if we're working on 98% of our purchasing power gone, and it's just 2% left, this abolishing the debt ceiling, which eventually will happen, because if you have a Republican House, Republican Senate, they're going to work together for the most part, all disguised as benefiting the people. But in actuality, all this is just another way to inflate away our problems, therefore robbing us of purchasing power. So expect that. Okay, so let's get into it. What are we talking about here? For those who might be new to the channel, you never know. But as I mentioned before, looking to put together all the articles and plus some on the RTD News tab. So this is at the Rethinking the Dollar tab. And so you can click the link in the description, but just go to rtd.news to get you right here. And so these are just all the articles that is worth mentioning. So as you can see here, it goes on and on. So these are just hot topics that come out in the day, and I actually try to update it when I can. But just to jump in, what we're going to talk about first. So we'll skip this one, where Rand Paul floats the idea of Elon Musk becoming the House Speaker. Think about this. Elon went from just a billionaire who's the wealthiest fiat holder on the planet to now we got politicians putting him in position of power or recommending him, whether it be Trump putting him in charge of the Doge department, or we got Rand Paul talking about making him House Speaker. Once again, no political affiliation whatsoever, just the wealthiest fiat person that has been presented to us. And he's having this impact on our government. And I don't trust the man as far as I know him, and I don't know him, so I don't trust him. Just because he's not where he's at, without having compromised and done some things and been helped by a lot of people. He knows more than we know. But then again, buying X, put him in a position of favor. People think he's for them, for truth. Come on now. Anyway, so right here, get to the second one. Trump calls for abolishing the debt ceiling. Let's jump in this one right here. So let's find out what 40 is trying to do. It says, in a phone interview with CBS, Trump said getting rid of the debt entirely will be the smartest thing meaning Congress, could do. I would support that entirely. So once again, getting rid of the debt ceiling. And we all know every quarter it seems like that there's a debt debate, debt debacle. Our government needs more funding, basically just to pay previous bills, and allows them to allocate certain funds for discretionary spending as they continue to issue just more debt willy-nilly. But ultimately, trying to abolish the debt ceiling is still relevant because it doesn't matter. They move it up every time they need to. So it's not even a ceiling. It's like a free-floating psychological debt psyop that got people thinking that our government can actually control things, when actually we all know that we're in a mess that is unsolvable by the powers that be. And so, okay, just as a cross-reference, because I never know who might be new to the channel, but I always got to just present the argument, the case, and with my argument and my evidence at the same time. So the debt clock, when you look at our government's finances, the red on here indicates all the deficits and things that are beyond payable. And as you can see here from these numbers, this stuff is unpayable. Student loan, 1.7 trillion. Per student is 39,000. Per household, credit card debt, 8,400. Like, the system being the way it is unsolvable. And so it needs to be reset, a debt jubilee, reboot, whatever we want to call it. This is what's happening. We're in the reset, as I always mentioned. So right now, 36 trillion. And as of right now, per citizen, it's $107,000. And if you're a taxpayer, then it's $271,000. So it's okay. I can understand why there should be much of an argue about the debt ceiling, because once again, it's unpayable. Let's get into what he talked about just briefly here for those who have interest. This says President-elect Donald Trump said Thursday should get rid of the debt ceiling, a day after he came out against a deal reached by congressional lawmakers to fund the government before a shutdown occurs. So once again, this whole shutdown, 1,500-page bill. Let's jump into this one real quick. It's just as a little side note. A lot of this is spurred on by Elon Musk and the fact that he has basically been given a very interesting role in this reset. And so he posted the bill that was agreed upon to further kick the can down the road. Yeah, so just looking at his page here, it's all types of stuff here, but let me just bring it on the screen here. So it's going through Elon's page here. Anyone who votes for the spending bill should lose re-election. So this was yesterday. So this is something he retweeted, and he put 100% on that one. 100% on that one. And that boy reached 7.4 million people. 7.4 million people. And I got people's attention. Then he goes on to talk about some Republicans rather run over mom than cut budgets. And he retweeted that one. So once again, he's positioned himself as this pro-country. Let's reboot the system. Let's trim all the fat. Let's redo this system and do it right. At the same time, the entire system is denominated in something that's dying. So it's, other than pointing out the problems continually and trying to present these temporary patches, no solution has been recommended. And then what trips me out is you have the president, incoming president, talk about abolishing the debt ceiling. But once again, he hasn't put forth anything that really is viable, that's beneficial. But then we know that they have the Bitcoin Act coming, supposedly, once he's elected. So Bitcoin will be thrust into the limelight as a way of helping pay off our debts and get us out of debt. But then again, we have a national reserve of gold. So would it be real disruptive? And where I would really like, okay, this guy's for real, was if he said, we're going to revalue gold. We're going to take our 8,000 tons. We're going to reprice it to whatever it takes to cover the cost of getting some of our debt. Let's now try to put some confidence back into our currency so that the American people can have some purchasing power while we trim down this debt. There's going to be pain. It's going to be uncomfortable because everything that you were promised in the form of pensions and retirements, it's going to go through some shuffling because it's all overpriced because of the expansion of our monetary base. So it's going to all come down severely, but there will still be something there. And as we reboot the system, we'll be able to start it off afresh, not only for this generation, but for future generations. But we won't hear that. So that was just my way of saying something. If Trump was real, trying to do something that benefited us rather than just playing his part that every other government is also doing as well. They all trying to build back better. Anyway, okay, but real quick, let me get to this so I don't keep ranting. Okay, so it says the Democrats have, let me see here. The Democrats, so it's back to the bill, back to the article here. It says the Democrats have said that they want to get rid of it. If they want to get rid of it, I will lead the charge. So the Democrats want to get rid of the debt ceiling, and now Trump wants to get rid of it too. So we have bipartisanship over the debt ceiling because it's pointless. So it's very few times our government comes to an agreement on anything. And the things they usually agree on are the things that help get them out of a pinch. And it ultimately makes things 10 times worse because the government in its entirety, the federal government in its entirety, is incompetent. Like literally, it is the most inefficient entity that exists. And that's why I have no confidence in any of this stuff we're witnessing, because the new solutions, there are none. It's all just, how can we keep our jobs on Capitol Hill while presenting like we're working on behalf of the American people? So as long as I hear stuff to just talk and don't do, and do stuff just credible, just disruptive, that's not the obvious Hegelian dialectic solutions problem, the reaction that they're going through now, and the solution will be some type of digital transformation. We need to improve and evolve as a society. But once again, who owns the network? Who runs the ledgers? Who is the one pulling the strings? We may never know. But then again, if you pay attention to alternative media, we all know the power structure of this governance model that we're under. And it's two kingdoms: the kingdom of God versus the kingdom of Satan, colliding, disguised in the natural with all types of stuff underneath it. But anyway, okay. The Democrats have said they get rid of, okay, Trump suggested that the debt ceiling is a meaningless concept that no one knows. I'm not doing it on purpose, so let me just make it bigger. Give me a second here. Make it bigger so you can see it as I see it. So we'll just read it out underneath me. Okay, here we go. It says, Trump suggested that the debt ceiling is a meaningless concept that no one knows for sure what would happen. No one knows for sure what would happen if it were to someday be breached, a catastrophe, or meaningless, and no one should want to find out if it was to be breached. What does breached mean? What is you referring to? We mean breached, because if it's continually moved, then that is basically showing that it is no ceiling. And if it's breached, meaning that it's what defaulted on, then we find out what the system is really made of. Okay, it doesn't mean anything except psychologically, he said. The debt ceiling is the limit lawmakers set that determines how much the federal government can borrow to pay its bills. It doesn't authorize any new spending. Correct. So literally, the ceiling concept is just to pay off old bills that continue to increase nominally because the interest on those bills usually, and of course government spending and all the stuff that they've put in these bills, increase the debt continually because that's how the system operates. But for we, the people who are caught in the middle, we are the potential casualties of this monetary experiment because our lives are based upon these instruments. So long as these instruments right here continue to have confidence in them and people work for these, save these, invest with these, then they're going to come out with stuff like this, these shenanigans on what they can and can't do. But the biggest thing is to divest and to begin to rethink how much of these things you want to hold outside of what's necessary for your day-to-day and your emergency fund of the next 6 to 7, 10 months. Because anything outside of that, we could be one hiccup away from literally an event, whether it be a QE event, meaning a mass expansion of the monetary base, literally to the tune of trillions, to cover up some of the stake that happens in the system, or the debt still be removed, a bigger bill has been increased, more borrowing, which has to happen, and they slowly but surely dilute the purchasing power. So it's either a slow drip or it's going to be a flood. Take your pick. What would you rather prefer? How many dollars would you want to hold? If they continue to drip, you'll continue to be able to spend these things. But if they cut the spigot on and they flood the world, what do you think about the foreigners who hold our debt? What are they going to do? You think they're going to sit by and continue to hold? No, they're going to also dump. And what are they going to dump it to? It's coming back home at some point. And then once again, everything you work hard for just gets that much less of value to where literally the people who base their entire world on Federal Reserve notes will just be robbed. That's why whenever there's anomalies like this, where you see the people's money, gold and silver, at a little bit of a discount in reference to the redeemability of these fiat notes for real tangible wealth, then that's the opportunity to add to your insurance policy against a crumbling world. So just a little side note. Okay. So let's take it back. Let's go back. Where we going? Okay. Give me a second here. Let me get myself together. I just get real fired up. I must admit, I still get fired up. I do get fired up more than I want to. So let's look at a second here. Let's go back to the news page. That's always going to be our reference point. All right. We talked a little bit about Trump. We see expected debt to continue to do. Okay. So here's another one. Rand Paul floats Musk for House Speaker. This is different. Like Musk's government, in a sense. He's having more of an impact than I think we should give him. Because I don't trust him. Neither should you. It's floating Elon Musk for Speaker of the House after a powerful billionaire tech helped toward a bipartisan agreement on a short-term spending bill. So because Elon Musk retweeted and just basically got millions and millions of votes. Like when he speaks, Elon Musk, and the reason why I say we shouldn't and can't trust him is because he has not arrived at the position he's at now as one of the wealthiest of all times if he wasn't helped by government, the United States government's contracts and everything else, and him setting up Starlink and Tesla and all that stuff that he has, the help of our government. Now all of a sudden he's biting the hand that feeds, who helped him get where he's at. That's something that's really a question. So because of that, I say it's hard to believe, and I would recommend that people just question. Do what you got to do, but question his efforts, what he does, what he stands for. Just because, once again, man who wears a Baphomet suit to a Halloween costume with the devil horn and stuff on his chest, smiling and giggling, and to me, because people at that stature, they're more quiet and personal about their core beliefs and values. I only have based upon the fruit that they drop as something to gauge. And once again, I haven't really discerned much of his fruit being that of true eternal value in reference to it to actually benefiting people, other than just the here and now of him becoming a libertarian and want to speak truth. But I'll reserve judgment until I see more. If you have thoughts, ideas, opinions, feel free to drop it in the comment. Okay, so real quick here. Once again, we got Rand Paul basically saying that because of what he's done, he's a good candidate to replace the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. It says he's the first GOP leader to explicitly suggest Musk should be Speaker, and his comments comes as Speaker Mike Johnson, be it to keep his job, is under serious threat. So once again, Mike Johnson, puppet of puppets. Once again, I question when he got nominated and how he became during that whole emergency scramble to find a new house once the previous one stepped down, and the fact that he came highly recommended and was it was just suspect. Like, of course, as soon as he got in, he does everything everybody else does. He favors the people who he answered to, and I bet you he's probably a recipient of AIPAC funding as well. So therefore, he takes orders from another part of the world, the Middle East, very small, the smallest country in the Middle East. You guys know what I'm talking about. So once again, their influence over our country is alarming. So anyway, so that's just that. Okay, let's keep it going. Okay, so what else we got here? So so just some other headlines. It says dollar rises to highest since 2002 as less Fed cuts seen. So once again, we'll see how this plays out with the dollar, the Dixie. I did a little video the other day, people trying to share their thoughts and opinions on it. Once again, it is what it is. I wouldn't really hold much to it. It is the head honcho, it's numero uno, so that's why it's going to continue to be something that is the focal point, because the world requires dollars for everything, because everything is priced in dollars. But as we get further to this decade, all that's going to change, in my opinion. But so here we just got some thoughts here based upon some analysis based upon Jerome Powell's interest rate projections moving forward. Yeah, I just wouldn't pay much into it, but we got to do what we got to do with that one. And then some other, the economy has failed the American people, but it's taboo to say why. So this looks like a personal piece. We got the Fed admits an inflation mistake. Trump's economic plans. Let's see what this is. This is from Mr. James Rickards. And so I'm sure he always drops some nuggets. Says Trump will begin his first 100 days with an emphasis on his economic plans. It says his core economic team is already announced with all the individuals here. Once again, they come highly recommended by who? By Wall Street, by the big banks. They're probably former bankers, and their affiliations puts them at a very compromising position, because they are heavily invested in a lot of things that they will eventually have say in or be next to for information that will allow them to benefit heavily. And that's the problem with these people that are put in power. If they're coming from the private sector, therefore they're coming in to correct and do some things correctly, according to the way Trump is touting it to be for our country. But then they're going to leave back out and go back to the private world, where they will more than likely be the beneficiary of whatever changes took place, because they probably position their portfolios ahead of time, which is just practical. Because think about this. I know for myself, and this is the problem with the political structure. If people are able to make a living off of it and or get in and get out, they're going to naturally do things that will probably position themselves and their family as to benefit. If you actually know that we're shifting our policies towards this particular sector, we're going to use these particular companies because they're the best in the world, then it's like, okay, if you know that, then you're going to probably put some funds into their share price ahead of time, because it's going to go up. Now, that's not immoral. You get it's like not forecasting, but you're just giving special information that maybe by next year, this sector is going to boom. If you dump everything into it now, you're going to get uber wealthy. I would do the same thing. I'm sure you would too. And that's where these politicians here, that's why I really don't believe in much of what they're doing, because I have no real reason to believe, because just look at the mess we're in. Our government is compromised. It's been hijacked. It's been taken over. And it's not even a government. It's like a private cesspool of evil that operates in the best interest of a very small few. That small few being the people who control everything that we're experiencing in the natural. But thank God, all this is temporary. None of this is permanent. This is just a cycle that we're all going through. It's called life. You know what I'm saying? Okay, whatever. Okay, I can go on with that, but I'll let you guys, if you guys want to find out more, visit the news page and you can find out more for yourself. What else we got here? It says, review the sources of Russian aggression, whatever. Hawkish Fed projects more inflation, fewer interest rate cuts. Yeah, so Literally, as the title said, this is from Mitch Talk. More inflation. So Trump, he got some stuff on his ass. France to push ahead with 300 billion bond plan without a budget. Okay, so imagine issuing more debt, but not giving the people who are going to be responsible for that, taxpayers, a plan. That's that. What you're going to do with that? It's a problem. Global conditions poured in a cash down in America. S&P price to book ratio now exceeds March 2000. Ooh, that's different. Yeah, that's government shutdown odds are rising. Economic experts aren't panicking. The Fed is a clueless as markets. Okay. But yeah, once again, if you guys are interested in finding out more of these stories here, I encourage you. Unlimited news available for you guys. So my goal is bookmark this page and then you'll always be plugged in. So links in the description if you guys want to. rtd.news. Just type that in to get you right there. So once again, these are some things caught my attention. It's just an interesting time frame to be alive, man. God is good. God is good. Let's give the Lord praise because he's worthy. Okay, so anyway, but with that being the case, that's all she wrote. Feel free to leave thoughts, ideas, suggestions, and leave a comment. I'll definitely get back with you guys. But other than that, be blessed, be safe, enjoy the rest of your day. Love, live, laugh, and learn, people. Shalom.